What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati, and conspicuous by his absence is the podcast dad. He is unavailable today, but he will be returning in the near future. But we press on, and this is our favorite part of the job. We get to talk to an actual wrestler, and tonight's guest has competed at Paradigm Pro Wrestling, where he is a mainstay. He's also a coach at the Hatchet Pro Wrestling Academy and the new Viral Pro Wrestling Champion. Please welcome Jon Davis. Jon, how are you? Thanks for joining me tonight.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Fantastic. This is again, this is one of our favorite parts of the job, and just really excited to take a deep dive into your career. So let's get right on in. Here at the Wrestling Junkies, we believe that all wrestlers are either a superhero or a supervillain. They clash, but they all have origin stories. So Jon, tell us about some of your earliest memories of pro wrestling.
Man, coming home from church as a 5 or 6 year old, getting home as quick as we could, turn on the big old wooden TVs and watching NWA. I was very much an NWA kid growing up, even into the transition in WCW. I wasn't a WWF guy until almost teenager years, just because of the way it was presented. Nothing wrong with either presentation, but I was much bigger on WCW feeling like a real life kind of thing, as opposed to the glamour and glitz. Like I preferred the smaller arenas, like big crowds, whatever. But I liked wrestlers that sounded like they had real names. So that's kind of where I was with it. And I could believe more of those guys at the time as a kid than I could with WWF.
Gotcha. So who were some of your favorites growing up, and how would you say they influenced your style in the ring today?
So Arn Anderson, that's why I have a beard. I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of Bret Hart when I switched over to WWF. Regal, Finlay, guys of that ilk, if you will. Not necessarily the biggest guys, not bodybuilders by any stretch of the imagination, but fighters, guys that you could believe would get into a tussle and come out on top by hook or by crook. Arn for sure, as far as the way that I approach things. I don't ever show that I'm shaking or anything. Like I don't overreact on stuff in the ring. I'm very even keel. When I get mad, it's a different thing, but I present myself in a way that I'm there to fight. Like I'm a fighter. I'm a prize fighter. My thought process is get in, beat people up, win, catch a check, go home. Right. Bret is more of a technical kind of thing. Like I like working body part stuff. I like being cognizant of what I'm trying to accomplish in the ring. I guess it also kind of ties into Arn. But big fan of just going after something. Like I don't beat you up all the way around. Like I'm going to beat your ribs in, or I'm going to work on your arm or your leg or whatever. But I like being body part centric, depending on what the situation is.
Sure. So when was the realization that this is what you wanted to do with your life and your career?
Man, I remember I was a kid. I was watching SummerSlam and the Bret and Davey Boy, and I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going to be a wrestler. And, life happens, things happen, and you grow up and you kind of get away from stuff. And, I mean, I was still a wrestling fan. I didn't think it was achievable. I didn't know anything about independent wrestling. I didn't know anything about wrestling schools. And had some stuff happen, then just kind of stumbled in, upon a card one morning and gave the guy a call. The next day, I was in the ring, and here we are 22 years later.
I like it. And 22 years later, you have gone from the student to the teacher. You were a coach at Hatchet Pro Wrestling along with Thomas Latimer and Dexter Lumis. What inspired you to make that transition from student to coach?
So I feel that I'm always, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a class going on right now. I'm outside of the school. But I got invited to do a seminar in 2014, somewhere around there, 13. And it was weird to me because I always feel like I'm learning and I'm always trying to learn. So when they invited me, I had to be talked into doing the seminar. A couple people had to, some of my mentors, yeah, you're capable. And I found that I like teaching and giving back just as much as I do being in the ring. So when Dexter and we've known each other for 15 years now. And he always said if he opened a school, he wanted me to be a coach. And, you know, the first couple of times he says, like, hey, man, that's cool. Like, you know, thanks for the compliment or whatnot. But then things just kind of started falling into place. Like, hey, I have a building. Come check it out. So he goes, I'm going to sign this lease, but you have to come on as a coach. So I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. But I remember coming in, and I was brought in, and I started training in the back of this auto body garage, and it was a tin roof. It was always 100-something degrees. The ring wasn't great. The people that brought me in weren't amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but I was just hungry, so I wanted to be there. And I always told myself if I was ever in a position to give somebody else that experience, like, I'm going to give them everything that I can. And Dexter's the same way. So, like, our thought process is, like, our facility is 2 rings. We have a TV for tape study. We do lectures in there. We consistently have guests in, and we want to give them everything that we didn't get. And we want them to be as ready as humanly possible. They have to sit down, and when we go over matches, they have notes. They have to give us their feedback. We send them home. We give them homework. When we do the lectures, they got to take the notes on the lectures, because we tied into whatever we're doing in the ring. So we make sure that they're paying attention to what we're saying. We want it to be an immersive learning experience, as opposed to just getting like, okay, we're going to body slam you today. Okay, we're going to suplex you today. Like, we want them to be the most complete pro wrestlers that we can make them.
Yeah. So, yeah, in addition to the coaching of beginners, you've already kind of alluded to it, that you host advanced seminars for trained wrestlers. What specific skills or techniques do you focus on in these seminars that differ from the beginners courses?
So if I'm doing a seminar, say I go to a show and I'm doing a seminar beforehand, I kind of get a gauge of where everybody's at, how long they've been working and everything like that. And then the first thing I do, whether you're a year in or 10 years in, I'm going to do stuff to look at your footwork. I don't want to do a whole bunch of blow-up drills and get you tired, because I want to see what you can actually do. Like, it's easy to say, okay, well, I'm going to charge you this much for the seminar, and I need you to run until you can barely pick your legs up. Okay, now I'm going to watch you work. That's not fair to the person paying for the seminar.
Sure.
But I'll kind of watch their footwork, and after I do that, we'll have a conversation on, what do you guys think that you need to work on? And then they'll kind of give me an idea, and I'll kind of split them up. I don't tell them, like, okay, you guys got 3 minutes, go. I'll take 2 other people, 3 minutes, go. And I'll watch what they do in the ring, see how they work, get an idea of that. And then we kind of break down everything that everybody could do better at. You know, a lot of times the kids are good and they're solid, but there's little habits that people build that nobody's really corrected them on, because you're out on the indies and you're just trying to build your craft, and you're trying to be the best independent contractor that you can. So it's easy to get into those habits that, with a little bit of a tweak, can make a huge difference in the way that you're perceived. So typically I'll go after stuff like that. Like, it's a footwork or small stuff on holds and things like that. I'll watch the entirety of what they do in the ring, and I kind of give them their feedback, and then we work on that. And then at the end, they work again with somebody different, and we see if they've made those changes based off of what we talked about in the seminar.
Very cool. Very cool. It's it sounds like there's a lot more in the nuances of things and those little touches to kind of, kind of align all of these skills and kind of fine tune what people are kind of going out and doing, on their own, is what it sounds like to me. And it's really cool.
Absolutely.
So let's move away from the coaching side of your career. Let's talk about your in-ring career. You recently won the Viral Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. We've got a picture of you with that beautiful piece of gold around your waist. You've defeated Owen Knight in a pretty grueling cage match. Has it finally sunk in yet that you've got gold around that waist?
So with Viral Pro, it's been an interesting story. I've been with that company since 2018. And they brought me in because at the time JD Drake was working there, and they needed somebody that could go with him. And so Drake recommended me, and that kind of got me started there. But I've kind of been in the title chase for 3 years and never gotten a one-on-one title match, championship match. So by the time it finally happened, I was more than ready. It was just, to me, it was a foregone conclusion. So it was cool because I'm not one of those guys that, like, if a championship's laying in the locker room and I walk past it, I don't pick it up and touch it. Like, I don't touch it until it's mine. So it was cool finally picking it up and knowing that it's coming home with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So take us take us behind the curtain a little bit. What first went through your head those first few moments coming back through the curtain after winning that title?
They used to run in Thompson, Georgia, and this show was in Augusta. And my worry coming into it is that we're paying off this thing that's been going on for a long time in this new town. I was kind of worried about how the crowd was going to take it in, because a lot of us are new to them. But I mean, the crowd was super receptive. It was a good house. They were into everything that we did. It was a great reaction. The story was told. Everybody bought into what we did. There was no confusion. Like, the crowd was never confused on what was what. Walking through the curtain after winning the championship, relieved. It's always cool getting the nod and having the company give you the ball, no matter what stage of your career you're in. I've done it a few times, but it was cool getting to the back and the finality of it kind of sinking in and knowing that they're going to trust me with the championship moving forward.
I like it. Now that you've gone from the hunter to the hunted, what are your goals for this championship reign, and what would you say are kind of your biggest challenges right now?
My goal with any championship that I have is to elevate the championship and the company that it represents. I think the Viral Pro is a very, very good company. I think Viral Pro is a company that doesn't have enough eyes on it. There's a lot of talent that comes through there, and these guys could work throughout the country easily. Ray Hynanteus, Owen Knight, Sean Legacy, Cody Fluffman, Billy Brash, but you have Zuga King, TJ Boss. All these guys are super talented, and I want to be able to bring more eyes to them. A rising tide raises all ships. So if I can rise that tide and all those ships get raised, those guys get more opportunities.
I like it. Very well said. So outside of the ring, let's step away from wrestling for a second. I came across a video that you did, and I'm just going to put up a quick screenshot of it. But your hobby illustration, you did a pretty awesome Batman illustration that you made a video for. So do you find these skills influence your wrestling career in any way as far as your illustration background?
When it comes to gear, I will kind of when I'm wearing actual gear as opposed to the fight shorts, I'll design my gear. I'm very big on if there's going to be an entrance video, I want to have hands-on the entrance video. I'm into music as well, so I don't want I'm very particular about that kind of stuff. Earlier I was going to say about the seminar, little things make money. It's the little things. Everybody can walk to the ring. Everybody can do a suplex, right? But what is the why, or what is the story you're telling, or what is the feeling you're trying to get across? So those little things help mean more and make a bigger difference. As far as drawing goes, man, I grew up poor, for lack of a better term, and paper and pencil was cheaper than toys. So I got a lot of paper and pencil and just kind of continued to work on it as I got older, and I'm to this day still doing it.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's definitely good to have, some hobby outside of, your professional career. It just creates a nice yin and yang to create a true outlet. So that's really, really cool. Something else I happened to notice while doing my research, you had a very touching post for WWE broadcaster Byron Saxton, real jack of all trades, ring announcing, backstage presence. So can you share a little bit more with us about your friendship with Byron and what he means to you?
So I met Byron when he first broke into the business. I mean, he was less than a year in when I met him for the first time. And I met him as a commentator, and I knew him from that, and I knew that he did ring announcing and stuff like that. And he was always, the way he is now was the way he was then. He'd be, hey, do you have anything you want me to get across? Is there anything I can help tell a story with? This and that. And then when I realized he was an in-ring guy, I remember I saw him in his gear for the first time, and he had on white boots, and I could not help but pick on him. And it's been a 15-year joke. Every time I see him, I make fun of the white boots. But he was just hungry. He worked hard, and it was cool to see somebody who put so much into it, because he was just working local news at the time. So do local news, and Then he'd leave there, gym, boom, go to a show, be gone for 2 days, come back and have to be on air at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So like his drive has always been the way it is now. And it's, to me, I like seeing that kind of stuff pay off. Like the guys that you want to win and that should win do. And when he came in front of the class, Adam Pearce has this thing, work hard, treat people fairly, earn respect. And I think Byron is one of those, he symbolizes that. He kind of epitomizes it. He's always respectful. Even if he's frustrated, he's professional and he's polite. And it's, in this business, it's not always that way. It's very easy to get frustrated. It's very easy to lose sight of who you are or show somebody that you may be somebody that they don't, something else than what they think you are. There's so many chances to let somebody down because of the day you're having. And whether he's tired, sick, ran into the ground, having a terrible day, you would never know it when you meet him because he's genuine.
Wow. You just answered my next two questions in that one response. So that is fantastic. We're gonna take a beat here. We've been talking all things Jon Davis for about 16 and a half minutes now. Now I'm going to give you the spotlight to shine on other people. Who are some names that we should be looking out for in 2024 as the year goes on, whether they're wrestlers, broadcasters, any aspect of the wrestling business, anybody you think, that 2024 is their year? Who would you say they are?
From an independent standpoint, I'll start with Sean Legacy. He does the viral shows. He's all around the country now. He just came back from Japan. Dude looks like an action figure. Great shape, great attitude, can do a bunch of stuff in the ring, and wants to get better at all times. And he's super crisp and super solid. When you see him, like he passes the like who is that test, right? There's just something about him. His best friend and tag partner, Cody Fluffman. Cody Fluffman does not look like Sean Legacy. He is not a bodybuilder by any stretch of the imagination. He's got this long mullet. He's body positive, I believe it is. But he's creative and he's got an infectious personality. And both of those guys did seminars, and Gabe Sapolsky saw him. And Gabe is the guy who used to run Evolve and now works for WWE. You're not familiar, but Gabe saw both of those guys separately and immediately tweeted about them. And Fluff is just one of those guys, like I said, he gets it. So like he understands what he looks like, but he also understands what his ability is. And he's going to surprise a lot of people in the end of 2024 and into 2025. Same with Sean. Sean really won't surprise you because you see him and you expect it. But Fluff is a whole nother story. But like I can't put over how talented those two guys are as a team and singles. And they grew up together. They went to high school together, and they're legitimate best friends. So to see both of them starting to get that success is amazing. They just came back from a tour of the UK a month ago, and they're going to be going back here real soon. Awesome. Aside from that, we'll go, like I said earlier, Billy Brash. This guy's been grinding for a long time. Has a good Southern, like old school look to him. Out of the Carolinas, super solid in ring, very good psychology. He'll get in there and bang. Like it doesn't, like he had a match with Brody King, and like Brody was smashing him, but he's all about that. Like he wants that action. So it's good to have guys like that. Promo's good, and he has a look about him. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but if you look him up, you'll see. And like I said, he delivers in the ring from bell to bell, and he's really passionate about the business. All three of those guys are very, very passionate about the business, and it's refreshing because a lot of young guys now are just kind of passionate about themselves, but they actually care about the business as a whole.
Very refreshing. Very refreshing. You've answered every question with ease so far. We save our hardest question for last. There is no right or wrong answer. It is a civilized debate that we have here at the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. So here goes, John. When you hear the moniker Mr. WrestleMania, is it Shawn Michaels or is it The Undertaker?
Shawn Michaels.
Love it. Love it. Chris, that's another one for me.
It's nothing against The Undertaker, but The Undertaker to me was a spectacle, right? He had a series mid to late 2010s of matches with like Shawn and Triple H that were solid, right? Like
Yeah.
there's just something about them, right? But if me as a fan, if I missed an Undertaker match, like it wasn't like, okay, like I have to see Undertaker at WrestleMania, because Undertaker gave you the same Undertaker wherever he was. Sometimes his entrance was a little bit more cooler. You got the same Undertaker all the time, right? And Shawn if Shawn's not in your top 5 of all time, you need to re-examine your top 5 of all time. And I say 5 to be generous, but he should probably be in your top 3, especially if you're a wrestler, because he does pretty much everything right. But at WrestleMania, he was just on a whole different level. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, when he came back and he was going, like, his back was destroyed and he was in pain consistently. And he was going out there and having banger after banger. But when it got to Mania, like, it was just a different feeling. Yeah. So while I feel like Undertaker was important to the history of WrestleMania and the history of professional wrestling, as far as having that spectacle, everybody hears that bell and they know what it is. But Shawn Michaels is a spectacle unto himself. It's a different feeling when he's out there at WrestleMania. So for me, the answer would be Shawn Michaels.
Could not have said it better myself. Chris, that's another one for me. Sorry, buddy. But Jon, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know you've got class that you're teaching right now. So before we let you go, where can everybody find you on social media, and what events do you have coming up?
I am that dude Jon Davis on Instagram, Jon Davis 817 on X. We'll be going back to Viral Pro Wrestling June the 8th. I will also be at River City Wrestling Con in St. Augustine, Florida, June 8th and 9th. I just want to promote those 2 dates. If you get an opportunity, look up River City Wrestling Con. They're doing something really cool down here. Nick has been doing this for about 3 or 4 years now. And he brings in all the legends, and he's got a ton of vendors, and it's an event. It's immersive. It went from the thing that was kind of like a 1-day thing to now it's a 2-day thing, and it'll probably go to 3.
Nice.
And we've been doing stuff in the community for it as well. Like, he's big for community, and us at Hatchet, we're big for community too. But it's cool to see how it's grown. And when you look at the guest list this year, you're going to be blown away as far as guys that are just showing up for autographs and stuff like that. But then they'll have independent shows. They'll run blocks basically, and there'll be matches throughout the convention. So say you're standing in line for Sting, right? There's going to be a block where there's going to be some wrestling. So if you're standing in line, you're not just standing there looking crazy. Like, there's going to be stuff for you to watch and stuff for you to be interactive with. But they have video games, they have Q&A, they have trivia. Simon Time Trivia is amazing. He's been doing it for forever. And his wrestling trivia gets pretty deep. So the smartest wrestling fan will get stumped. And that's just him just throwing base stuff off the top of his head out there. But Barrel's back with the Garden City Classic. It's in Augusta, Georgia. And they're bringing in John Schuyler, Lodi, Brock Anderson's going to be there. So either one, if you can make it. Viral's going to be on IWTV. They already have a few shows up. Go ahead and go check them out. Watch the back catalog a little bit. Usually whatever show they run will be out within 2 to 3 weeks after they get done with all their editing.
Awesome. Well, Jon, thank you again. Best of luck this year. And give them hell. We can't wait to see what you do next, and can't wait to have you back on the show.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. As always, make sure to hit that QR code in the top left corner. Remember to like, remember to share, subscribe, turn on those notifications so that way you see everything the Wrestling Junkies are doing. For the podcast dad, for Jon Davis, I'm Mr. Cincinnati. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon.